Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to another episode of The Voice Within. Today, we're diving deep into something that has been on my mind for a while now, loving yourself versus trusting yourself. We all hear so much about self-love. It's everywhere around us. On social media, it's in the books, it's in the podcasts, it's in the self-help articles, literally everywhere. But there is a huge piece of it that I believe we are kind of overlooking. The more I reflect on this topic, the more I realize that loving yourself can often feel like some kind of abstract, intangible concept. And it's easy to get kind of caught up in the idea that self-love is just about bubble baths, affirmations, and all of those treating yourself kindly and with love. But deep down, if we are forcing it, if we're forcing self-love, it's not really rooted into something authentic. It kind of doesn't clicking. You feel weird. You feel awkward when you're doing it. It feels kind of fake. And I think this is the biggest problem. Whenever we hear that somebody tells us you should love yourself more, you should do the things more to prove yourself you love yourself more. Like I said, we often think about doing all of those serving acts towards ourselves. Bubble baths, affirmations, taking ourselves for lunch, and all of these things are nice, but there is something fundamental that could actually lead to really genuine self-love. Because when we're trying to do all of these things of the self-love and we really don't feel it deep inside, it feels fake, and this is actually the problem. And what I found out that its foundation of the self-love, it's actually trusting yourself. It's actually trusting your intuition, trusting your decisions, trusting that you know what is best for you even when it feels uncomfortable. And then when you start trusting yourself, but really trusting yourself, the byproduct of that trust is real, authentic self-love. Let me try to explain you why this is so important. Here is what I have realized in all of my self-work. Self-love is not something we just decide to feel through actions itself. Self-love, it's an internal state that comes from honoring our own truth and acting in alignment with that truth. Self-love is born from those quiet but very powerful acts of trusting yourself, of trusting your intuition. We all heard that self-love is important. Even if you are not in self-development industry, even if you are not reading all of the books and reading all of the podcasts, we all know that self-love is extremely important. And we know we should love ourselves, but let's kind of be real. How many of us truly feeling that love deep inside, in like embodied level? For so many of us, loving ourselves often feels like something we should do, something we force on ourselves, something we force into doing. But the thing is, if those actions of self-love, those forced right things to do, are not grounded in trusting yourself, if they are not aligned with what we feel is good for us in the moment and true to us, they just don't stick. Those things, they don't stick. They feel fake. They feel forced. They feel like we are disconnected from who we actually are. And I think this is where we all go wrong. Loving yourself without trusting yourself just doesn't go hand in hand. It's like when we're trying to build a house without solid foundation. If the foundation isn't there, everything else we feel kind of shaky. And this same thing applies to the self-love. Try to think about it this way. Trusting yourself, it's not about blindly following some formula. Trusting yourself, it's about listening to your intuition, understanding your needs, and the most important, honoring what feels good for you in the moment, even if that looks different from what everybody else is doing. In one sentence, trusting yourself means that you know what is best for you. And from that trust, you begin to feel more confident in your choices. You become aware of your worth and your ability to handle whatever comes your way in your life. When you really start trusting yourself and listening yourself, you no longer seek validation outside of yourself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, and you are not relying on external things like achievements, compliments, or success to feel loved, to feel worthy. You kind of start embody the love for yourself that was always there. Because in that moment, you are moving from a place of trust that you are worthy, trust that you are enough, trust that you, as you are trusting yourself. Let's talk about that fake feeling of self-love for a second. Have you ever had a moment where you have done something like affirmation or self-care ritual and it just didn't land? It felt forced. It felt awkward. It's like saying, I love myself 100 times, but deep inside you just don't believe it. Why does this happen? Because without trust, you are trying to fill the gap with actions that are disconnected from your truth. You are trying to force yourself to feel something that is not yet aligned with who you are in the core. When trusting yourself is missing, everything else feels very fake. The affirmations then, they feel empty. The self-care feels like an obligation. It's not flowing, it's not aligned, it's not authentic, and it's not empowering us actually. Okay, so how do we start this shift? How do we move from forcing self-love to actually embodying it through trust? And here is a few practical steps that I'm using in my life. So first of all, start with the small aligned decisions. Trust to yourself isn't built overnight, and it doesn't happen in a huge life-changing moments. It starts in the small choices you make every single day. Listen to your gut. Kind of trust that inner whisper and take small actions based on it. Does it something feel off? Trust it. Does it something feel, oh yes, I want this? Trust that too. And kind of start acting on your inner guidance, even in the little moments. The more you do this, the more you trust in yourself will grow, and the more you will be capable to trust yourself in those big things. This one is huge. Stop asking for permission. I know this might be tough, especially for those of us who have been conditioned to seek approval or validation from others. But if you want to start trusting yourself, you really have to stop seeking permission for your decisions. You don't need anyone's approval to make the right choices for your life. You already have that wisdom inside of yourself. Trust that you know what is best for you, even if in the beginning you feel a little bit shaky with that trust. Also, it's very important that we embrace mistakes as learning, not failure. This is something I keep repeating to my son, and I'm trying every day to teach him that mistakes are learning opportunities. One of the biggest barriers to trusting ourselves is the fear of making mistakes. We often think, if I mess up, I'll be wrong or unworthy. We connect our worth with our mistakes. But the truth is, mistakes are just lessons. They are just guidance. Trusting yourself means understanding that you don't have to get everything perfect. Every choice, right or wrong, is a part of your growth. So when we embrace our mistakes and we learn from them and keep moving forward regardless, we start trusting ourselves more. Trusting yourself as well means setting boundaries that reflect our values. Those boundaries that reflect what truly is important to us. It's often about saying no when something doesn't feel right for us and saying yes to the things that align with our true inner guidance, with our values. We often think that if we set boundaries, that means we are pushing others away. But setting boundaries, it's about honoring ourselves and trusting that our needs are just as important as anyone else. And when you do this, you kind of reinforce your own trust in what feels good for you. And on the end, give yourself grace. We all fall short sometimes. We all make mistakes. We don't always get it right. But trusting yourself means giving yourself grace, not beating yourself up over when things don't go as you planned. As you begin to trust yourself more and more, something beautiful happens. The byproduct of trusting yourself is authentic self-love. The more you listen to your intuition, the more you act in alignment with your true desires, the more you feel love for yourself naturally. It's not forced, it's not faked. You start to see yourself through the lens of respect. knowing that you making the choices that reflect your true essence. And from that place of respect comes genuine love. Love towards yourself that it's not forced, not fake, but rooted in the real trust in yourself. Self-love is not about forcing yourself to love who you are through your actions or repeating the words. Self-love, it's about learning to trust yourself, your decisions, your feelings, your intuition. And trusting yourself creates a foundation for everything else. And from that place of trust, you will find the love you've been seeking. And when you land in that place, you will see that the love for yourself will naturally flow. No force, no fake affirmation, just real, authentic love built on the trust. Thank you for being here today, and remember, trust yourself. This is the key to everything. Until the next time, keep trusting, keep loving, and keep living authentically. Bye.